if you're getting here now, I'm Clay Souza. I'm a wedding and portrait photographer in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and you are at Clay Souza Official at 808 with Clay, where we talk about photography. If a little bit focused on lighting, on composition and posing. And remember, posing goes hand to hand with directing. We also show you how to direct your clients, how to the whole goal of this channel is to make you guys go from having good and great photography to amazing image that's going to attract that client that wants you for your photography, not because you are the cheapest one. Okay, because you all know competition on price is competition to the bottom. So as I always do every week, we start with questions. I always get questions to talk about. So and we have 3 questions today. One of them has to deal with sharpness, image and sharpness. How can I can't get my images to be sharp? How can I get sharper images? That is a great question. There's a few components that you need to look at when you talk about photography and sharpness. Okay, one of them is shutter speed. Okay, your shutter speed should never, I mean, everything here is give or take, right? If I say never, don't take that as a thing, right? So we always put some room in there. So you should avoid shooting with a shutter speed that is less than what your focal length is. Let's say if you use a 7200, you should not be shooting on a shutter speed below than 200. Okay, of course sometimes we do, but then we take them because every hand shakes a little bit. So the lower your shutter speed, the more camera shake you're gonna have, blurry image you're gonna have. Also, look at your aperture. Sometimes you're shooting way wide open with like lens that are 1.4 or 1.2, and those lenses are tricky to shoot. So if the lens, if you focus on the wrong, if you shoot like at 1.2 or 1.4, if you focus on the tip of the nose, the eye is going to be out of focus. The depth of field in those lenses are so short that the distance here makes a difference. So look at your shutter speed and look at your aperture. Last but not least, may be the case that your lenses are either back focusing or front focusing. What does that mean? So you focus on one place and the lens ends up focusing a little bit after that place, behind or before the place where you're focusing. So that needs some camera lens calibration. It's always, this would be the last resource. So send the lens to be calibrated to make sure that you have the lens are focused on the right place where the camera tells you that it's focusing. Can you do the calibration at home? Yes, you can, but you know, I would send it somewhere else. Right? I'm a photographer. I don't fix cameras. I don't fix lenses. So let's leave to the professionals on that area to fix your lenses if you need to. So that's sharp focus. The second question was JPEGs versus RAW. That is a great question. What's the difference between JPEGs and RAW? So raw images, if you're not shooting raw, that's where you should be shooting raw. And I've seen people talking about, I'm afraid to shoot in raw. I don't know, I'm afraid to shoot in raw. I don't know why people are afraid to shoot in raw, right? The only difference that is from raw to JPEG, when you shoot in JPEG, the camera already does some compression on the image, some like a little bit of processing and compression on the images to make it smaller. So in order, when the camera compresses the image, it loses data. It loses data on the highlights, loses data on the shadows. So when you're editing, you don't have the latitude that you usually have if you shoot in raw. So the beauty of raw is that you have all the dynamic range, everything's in there for you to work your magic when you are editing. Now there are some cases when you want to shoot JPEG. Let's say if you're shooting an event and you're going to do like a same day slideshow, you're going to play a slideshow at the event, during the event, then you may want to shoot JPEG for that, so you can display the image in JPEG on a big screen. All right, so there are a few instances where you want to shoot JPEG, but most of the time you should be shooting RAW, because the latitude that you have when you shoot RAW is much bigger than what you have when you shoot JPEGs. Okay, and the last thing I want to talk about wasn't a little bit of a question, but I was reflecting a little bit on our Shutterfest experience. And I went to a talk from Alissa Sincota, I mean my Shutterfest friends who were there, to the Extreme. Extreme is the last day of Shutterfest. They have one day it's called Shutterfest Extreme. It's like just lectures, like 1 hour lecture, and they have all kinds of topics. Social media, IPS. For those one who don't know, IPS means in-person sales, all that kind of stuff. And one of the topics this time was work and life balance. Again, I'm scratching here because that's a tough one. All right, I want to spend just a few minutes on this because it's such a broad subject, and each one of us have their own life work balance. And she opened up her talk and she said, work and life balance. Let me tell you, there is no such a thing. If you're thinking about being successful, there's no such a thing about life and work balance. But of course, they running a multi-million-dollar operation there. Okay, and she talked about also one thing that she said that resonates with me a lot, because I hear this a lot talking to people, is people saying, oh, I want to open my business because I want to make my own hours. That is such a misconception. All right, if you believe that's a misconception, hit that heart button there. Let me see how many people really think this is a misconception, or if you believe that when you open your own business you can make your own hours. Let me know. Hit that heart button there if you believe this is a misconception. In my book, it's a huge misconception that people are going to think they're going to be successful working 3, 4, 5 hours a day. Impossible. It's just impossible. I see a bunch of people hitting their heart there, so a bunch of people are agreeing with me. Yeah, keep those hearts coming. Let me see what's your opinion on this. Yeah, I mean, there's no such a thing as running a successful business working 4 or 5 hour days. There's no way to do that, right? What we do here in our business, Photos by Clay, is that we plan vacations, and we plan little trips here and there when we have time. I'm the one probably here in between Dani and myself. I'm the one who needs to decompress a little bit more often than she does. I have a lot of stuff in my head, just like she does also, but I need more free time. I need more free time than she does. I get home from a wedding, I need to sit down, I need to open a beer, and I need to put some crap TV going on and just watch that for a few hours for me to decompress before I can shower and go to bed. Dani, she got here from a wedding, she's already sitting down on the computer, download the images, cooling them, separating them into events, and doing what she needs to do. I mean, I find it is amazing, because after a 10-12 hour wedding, it's really hard. I need to decompress a little bit more. I mean, how do you guys deal with like long events that you're working on? And so when you get home, you're ready to go, you get home and you're already editing stuff, are you like a working horse, like, you know, you get from the event, you're tired but still already download the image, or you wait for the next day? Let me know in the comments here which kind of person you are. You a next day type of person, or you a same day type of person? Just type there, same day or next day. Let me see which kind of people do we have here, because I'm a next day type of guy. I'm a next day. I get back from a wedding, I need to sit down, decompress, have a beer, and watch some crap TV, and that's not, I'm gonna not be thinking about anything, and that's how I operate. And then the next day, Gilda said she waits for the next day. So Gilda is a next day. So Michelle, I don't know it right away, but I don't look at the same day. I don't look at the same day neither. Brandon, the next 2 days. There you go, Brandon. Brandon plays on my team. That's right. So only now I'm looking at my shoulder fast image. It's been what? Almost a week now? It's been a week now, right? It's Wednesday today. Yeah, only now I'm looking at my shoulder fast images and editing them. So that type of stuff. So life and work balance, right? It's good to have. It's important to have. It's important to take days off. It's important to go traveling. But what happens to us is that something that happened at Shoulder Fest, a little mistake, a little hiccup that we had. So we arrived at Shoulder Fest. We had a wedding on Tuesday. We flew to Shoulder Fest on Wednesday. So we shot on Wednesday, we shot on Thursday, we shot on Friday. And on Saturday, we packed everything and went back to the airport to come back home. So I get to the airport around 1 o'clock. I'm trying to do my check-in, and it's like, no check-in available, no check-in available. And I'm like, what's happening here? What's going on? To look at I had the app open. When I look at the app, actually our flight, it was for Saturday, it wasn't for Friday. I was like, oops. So we had another day in St. Louis, right? But at that point, we have already checked out from the hotel. We had already returned the car, and we did all of that already. And we're like, okay, what we're gonna do? So quick plan, not a problem at all, no stress. Good thing we didn't have a wedding on Sunday, otherwise we'd have like to rent a car and just drive back here to be here on Sunday. But we decided to stay. So, but this was like our extra day, right? Our vacation. What did you do? We called people, and what did you do? We went shooting on Saturday. We shot on Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And we went shooting on Saturday. We found a great model. We found a great people to shoot with. And we went shooting. Why? Because it's something that we enjoy. This is our work balance, right? Because when I'm shooting models and I'm shooting this type of stuff, like in conferences, things like that, or when I'm teaching those conferences, I don't feel like that's work. That's what we like doing, right? And it allows us to be creative. We're not being creative with the client, to be creative, to push the envelope. How can I make this different? I haven't edited the image yet, but there's some amazing image that I want to show you. But that's what we do. So it is important. Yeah, in November, we're going to go on a bigger trip, on a bigger vacation out of the country. So that is that's what we do. But it's like once a year or once every 2 years we go on a bigger trip. Especially us, our families are in Brazil, our families are in different parts of the world sometimes, and we go and visit them sometimes. So, but don't think you're going to be successful working 4 or 5 hours days, because that is a lie. You're going to work a lot if you want to be successful. Okay, so let's get into the topic of the live tonight, which is framing. We talked about leading lines last week. Today I want to talk a little bit about framing. I want to keep on the same topic of composition. So today we're going to talk about framing. So what is framing in photography? When you use elements on your scene to provide context or to lock the viewer eyes into your subject. So that is framing. Okay, so remember, I always keep saying this, your subject is the most important part of your image, right? There are several ways to make your subject pop, or lock your subject on the viewer screen, right, in the viewer eyes, and framing is one of them. So you probably have seen, or maybe you do this, you go like this sometimes, and you look through here, right? Do you guys do this? Let me know if you do this. If you do, just hit that heart button there. Yes. Let me see. I sometimes do this, and I do this when I want to isolate place of the scene. Sometimes the scene is so busy that I can't really figure out what's going on there, I go like this, and I look through this my fake viewfinder here to figure out how I'm going to frame the subject here, right? And what I want to do, a bunch of people do this. I'm seeing the hearts going on there. It helps. It does help. In the beginning, I thought it was funny when I saw people doing that, and I tried one time, and I said, oh, this really helps. So what I want to do today, I want to show you, like I did yesterday, show some images and talk a little bit about the frame. That's why insane people. Come on, Brenda. If you do this, you're gonna like it. You're gonna be like, oh yeah. Yeah. So so I want to show you some pictures that I have with some interesting frame. There are several ways of doing frame, right? You can frame with the hands, like a model like this, for instance. That's framing, right? Or something like this, for instance. I don't use those techniques a lot because I don't shoot fashion. People who shoot fashion, they have all kinds of stuff that they can do with the hands, right? I can see something that is, I cannot see something that is natural to a bride to pose like this, right? It's not natural. Nobody walks in the street walk like this. Well, some people may, but again, like Brandon said, maybe insane people. But let me show you some examples of framing, and we can talk about them a little bit. Let me go up to my images. So let's start with this one over here. Oh, guys, that image was taken at Shutterfest this year. So last Thursday. So this is straight out of the camera. I haven't added the image yet. That's why you're seeing the door, you're seeing signs. Don't hate on me. It's straight out of the camera. I haven't had time to edit those pictures yet. But you see how I frame her? At the end there, in the far end, there is an elevator door. So she has a kind of two framing, right? So there are two walls over here where you have the exit door on the right. There are two walls, and at the end over there, there's an elevator in there, right? This is just a long hallway, and that's why we shot her. That's why she's dead center there. See how I framed her on the sides by the two doors in there, and with the elevator door on the back. So this keeps your viewers' eyes right there. They're not going to wander anywhere because she's centered framed within those two frames actually. Okay, and again, this is a straight out of the camera image, haven't been edited yet. The way we got the red there, we had a gel AD200 all the way by the elevator door pointing up, and it had a sphere on it and a red gel, right? So when the light goes up and it hits the elevator door reflects and sends the light back, and we were able to light the entire room. Okay, so that is one type of framing, but all the examples I'm going to give you are using the scene as framing. So this one here is also from Shutterfest. This one I have edited. This was like was interesting picture because we did our sunrise shooting, and most people had left. There was like probably 6 or 7 of us that we were talking, and I was looking at those trees, and I saw something which I wanted to shoot there, and Brandon actually was the one who saw that shot there. We talked a little bit and said, see if we can frame her in between the trees, but see how she's framed in between the trees. There's a lot happening on that scene. You have all of that distraction on the right side, but your eyes will not go there to start with because she is framed in between two trees. Okay, so the tree is doing the framing. That is why it's important to think about the framing, guys. And thank you, Brandon, for that, because that was his eyes looking at that scene. I had another one that there was a tree that was kind of leaning. Would be like I was working excuse me, I was working with a leading line, using the tree as a leading line, but I think this frame on that one was much stronger framing. So yeah, that one has been added already. Yeah, thank you, Gilda. Gilda saying it's a beautiful shot. So, but see how we're using the two trees to frame the subject there? And these are the things, guys, when you're shooting, these are important things that are gonna help you to decide where to shoot, right? We're always talking about location, right? So lens, there's a question about lens, which lens I use for that one. That one, I think, was a 1124, Canon 1124 at f4. I don't know if I was at, I don't think I was at 4, but I think I was at f8 or something, but the lens opens to f4. All right. This picture was taken on a mentoring that I did for one of my clients. So you see how she's framing in between the trees again, right? We have the veil working. Remember we talked about last Monday, we talked about the leading lines, right? The veil is creating the leading lines to her, and she's framing in between two trees. Also, watch how her head is against the sky. Okay, so that way she doesn't get like things coming out of her head, right? And she pops a little bit more when her head's behind the sky. So watch how she's framed in between two trees over there again. So that's just using your location to do the framing for you. So this is going to help you to figure out where I'm going to shoot and how I'm going to shoot this, and more important, why I'm shooting this way. Okay, so another one, let's look at another one, a little bit different here. Oh, this one over here. So this one, could I have moved them a little bit to the left? Yes, I could. But my concern here was the veil is gonna get lost with the gate things right there, right? So, but when I start framing this shot, I think Jeff was with me there, and I think Jeff said they're off center. And I said, yeah, but I will ask him to tip her. When he tips her, she's going to be dead center to the arch. And that's exactly what we have there. See, I'm shooting lower. I'm creating that little background bokeh there. So now we have 3 levels. We have foreground, midground, and background. It is something that we're going to talk about also. Composition, layering and composition. But in another live, but that's what we do over there, right? So see how she's framed perfectly in between, and this is my advice to wedding photographers. If you have to make a choice, like I had to make a choice, I couldn't fit both of them plus the veil into that framing there into that little arch. So if I have to make a choice, I will always opt for, I will always favor the bride. Why is that? The bride has buying power. Okay, if the bride doesn't like, or if your client doesn't like, if you're shooting families, if the woman doesn't like her in the picture, she's not gonna buy it. Doesn't matter how beautiful it is, doesn't matter how much the husband likes it. She hardly ever we see a situation where the bride doesn't like an image, or the mother of the family doesn't like an image, and you still sell that image. It's hard. So you always favor the female in that case. Okay, so and that's why when I had that idea, I looked at it, I thought I could fit both of them there, and I couldn't. I posed them in the center, and I said, no, this is going to be a boring shot. Let's move a little bit to the right, and then dip her so her head is right centered there inside the little arch there. Okay, so that is framing. All right, let me see what else we have here. We can use framing also with what you have in there. Look at that. This is just there was a plant on this venue, so we shot through the plant. I think this is Danny's shot, I'm not sure. I don't remember shooting that image. Okay, so how you frame then with the plant, right? The leaf on the right, the stem on the left. Okay, so we're framing then in a position where your eyes not going to go anywhere until you hit them. The first thing that you see is the subject, which is the most important part of the image. That was you, right, Danny? Yeah, she said yes, it was me shooting. Yeah, so she learned well. All right, so let's look at another example of framing. Let me see what I want to show you where I did go wrong with the framing. Yes, because we all make mistakes, right? And I have no shame in showing my mistake. But before I do that, look at this framing here, bridal portrait, right? Look at that framing, that leading lines. What you see on your right are just plants that have been there. So we put a little bit of that and we place her right in between the bushes on the background there. Now I'm framing her here and here. So your eyes are stopping at her. You're not going over there to the left because she's perfectly framed in between the two bushes. And this guy here is the one on the right, is really close to me, so it's out of focus. She is in the middle middle ground, and then we have the out of focus there on the background. Okay, so that is another example of using what you have on the scene to frame. Now let me show you where I went wrong. Okay, let me show you where I went wrong, and I'll tell you why I made that mistake. All right, what do you think of that image? All right, when you look at it, where did I go wrong on that image? You see how she's not, there are two things here that bothers me a lot on that image. One of them is she's not centered to the glass, to the window over there. All right, she should be a little bit more to our left. You see that little a frame coming off her head like that on your right? Yeah, so that was one of my mistakes. Another mistake that I made on that picture, see how the framing of the window also crossing her in the middle of the head here? That was another mistake. Why did I make that mistake? I think also, if you look at the lights, the two lights there, she's not framed in the center of the light. So if I had moved her a little bit to the left, to our left, she would be perfect framed, and I would have to go a little bit lower to get the crossing framing on the window framing of her head. Okay, why did I make that mistake? This, if you look at my portfolio, if you look at my image, if you follow my work, you're gonna notice that I pose a lot sideways, right? Yes, pole coming out of her head. Exactly. That's one of the things that we talked about. Also, Brandon, correct. You tend to move fast instead of slowing down. But you know, you shoot weddings. Weddings, sometimes you just don't have the time to do that. But I had the time to create the image. It was a mistake of mine. I totally messed it up. Why? Because I had never. If you follow my work, you see that I pose a lot, a little bit 45 degrees to the camera, a little bit to the side of the camera. And I want to, because I had been trying to pose a woman facing the camera. I had been trying that for a long time, and I really wanted to nail that pose. I have tried several times and I failed and I failed more than 5 times that I can't remember. And I came up with a strategy, with a pose that I liked, and I thought it was going to work, and I thought that bride would understand it. So when I start posing her, I didn't pay attention where I was, and it took me a little time to get her to move her hands in the right place, because that's a pose that anything that goes wrong on that pose will totally destroy it. Okay, so it's my concern with posing messed up my framing, messed up my composition. All right, I was so focused on the posing that I didn't pay enough attention to the composition. So mistakes happen. Still a beautiful image. I still delivered that image, still edited it, delivered it, but it would be much better because I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of the stuff that we talk about here, photographers see it. Clients really don't pay attention to that level of details, right? But it's our job to pay attention to those details. That's why we are professionals, right? So yeah, I could have done better, but I wanted to show you an example where things didn't work the way I think they could have. Okay, and let me show you another one. Let me see what I have here. Oh, this one here. This is the same bride that the bride portrait. So that's the engagement session. You see what I'm using, how I'm using the trees to frame them, even though the right side here there's nothing, but you see how busy the scene is on the left side, but it is totally clear on the right side. Okay, so the tree over there, the bent tree over there is framed, and it's kind of working as a leading line. You look at it, it takes you right into them over and over again, right? Leading line and framing at the same time over there. Okay, so that's another way of doing it. So this is all to tell you that pay attention to your scenes. There's always something there that's going to help you framing. There's another one here that I want to show you. Let me see. Oh, shutter fast again, right? Double framing, whoop and whoop. One at the front, one at the back. Look at that. So she is totally dead center. I didn't mess up that one, right? Exactly. So the frames on the branch that are the picture pointing at them. So this one, she's right frame there. So one frame, one arch, another arch at the background. And so my shutter fast friends will know that location where it is. It's a very popular location there. Exactly. So that's another example of frame. So I'm using outdoors, we're using indoors to do all the framing. And let's see if we have one more here. Oh, another shutter fast shot. My goodness. No, I'm going to show you this one here. This one. You see, this picture, see how I framed her in between both trees. Also, I didn't really want to get her dead center there. I want her a little bit off center to create a little bit more interesting composition. All right. So, and that's what we did right there. So I also, by putting her on a little bit bright spot on the sky, because our eyes will go to the brightest part of the image, right? Because she's against a little bit brighter spot on the sky, your eyes will go right into her, right? And also look how I'm using her arms and hand to do the framing for me, right? And once she's here, she's framing. She's framing the shot for us. So she's framing between the two trees. I'm putting her against a little bit brighter spot on the sky to call attention to her, and her arms are also framing her a little bit. Watch her right arm, the one that's over here, how it creating that triangle back to her face. Okay, all of this the little things here and there that creates a really cool composition to take your image to the next level and to create an amazing photography. All right, so guys, framing is very important part. We are all about creating an amazing photography, right? So it's taking from good photography to amazing. And when you talk about composition, when you talk about lighting, when you talk about posing, there's not one single thing, there's not one magic bullet that's going to make it all happen. It is several components, small details that are going to make a difference. All right, so I want to know who from now on, who is going to be really concerned about the framing, hit that heart button there. Let me know if this helped you, and if you're going to be looking a little bit more, with a little bit more carefully when you frame your subjects. Hit that little heart button there. Let me see if you guys enjoyed this, so we can keep doing this. Also get Instagram to show some interaction on us. Thank you. So the question is, what lens did you use on the last shot? 11 to 24, my wide shots, right? Also another question, did you have opportunity to scout out the locations before you took the pictures? Some of them yes, some of them no. Okay, I try to scout as much as I can, but sometimes it's just impossible. So like when you shot a Shutter Fest, we shot in a totally different location this year. We had to go there. I had never gone there before, and this is what we created over there. I shot one of the shots. This was for my sunrise shooting. We got like about 25 people in each day. We did 2 days, got about 50 people, and that's one of the shots that we created there. I just finished editing that shot today. Okay, I posted it on Instagram over there. All right, yeah, so that location, there's no scouting. We just got there, we saw it. This is why we're going to shoot it, where the sun is rising. That and that's how it was. Yes. How far I was made from the model? I'm assuming that's what you're asking, Yuda. I was really close actually, because I shot with the 11-24, so I wasn't too far at all, right? She was very far from the image, like she was very far from the building back there, but we were very close to her.
Jorge's.
Okay. Yeah, and also Jorge was the one who scout this location for us, so he knew the location. That damn 11mm, right? Yeah. Guys, I used to have a 16-35, right, lens. Awesome lenses, beautiful lenses. But once I got the 11-24, I sold my 16-35, because from 11 to 16. It's a whole difference, right? I think like 2mm on those lenses makes a huge difference. And the 11-24 is a beautiful lens. It creates some beautiful wide angle shots that are just amazing. I call this my money making lenses, right? So guys, this is everything that I wanted to talk to you today about. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support, for being here. And if you think this live was helpful, please share this with a friend. Let's bring more people to this channel, so we can build a nice, strong community here of amazing photographers that create amazing images. Not just good enough, just amazing images. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to DM me. Okay, yeah, the 11-24 is really a must-have lens. It's actually expensive, but totally pays for itself. All right, so guys, thank you so very much. And in a few minutes, this live is going to be available on Instagram, and also on tomorrow on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, claysouzaofficial, and also on our Facebook, claysouzaofficial. All right, thank you so very much for watching. I really appreciate your support. I really appreciate you being here with me. And so if you want me to cover a specific topic, let me know. I'm glad to cover it. And if you have questions, send me a DM. All right, don't forget to share this with your friends. And thank you so much. Have a great night, and I'll see you on Monday again. All right, for us to keep talking about how to have an amazing photography. Thank you guys so much. Bye. Have a good night. Bye.